Guys, Martial Insight here. Last event was a very good event for me and my team. We profited 2.7 units, and we are looking to get an even bigger event this time around. If you guys want my official bets, do not hesitate to reach out to me on marshallinsight.gmail.com. Now, let's get things started with the first matchup in Daniel Marcus versus Aoi Kuling. I think it's pronounced, I'm not sure. I will just call him AQ, but AQ is extremely hittable. He keeps his head very stationary, he's slow, he got bad footwork, he got good cardio, decent volume, and AQ got knocked out by cold by Sahabi, and maybe his durability is decreasing, he has taken a lot of damage. Now to Daniel Marcus, he got very good front kicks, knees, jabs, straights, and leg kicks. Last time around, it was a disappointing performance against David Grant, but I think David Grant is a much higher level fighter than AQ. Marcus also got a great takedown defense, so if AQ starts to go for some takedowns, I think Marcus will fend them off pretty easily. Keep in mind, Marcus did slow down the last minute of his Dana White Contender Series fight, so maybe AQ could push the pace and maybe see if he could break Marcus later on. But it's a confident pick for me on Marcus. I think he gets the knockout. I think AQ is way too hittable. He can't move his head that much. I think the front kicks, the knees, the straight punches will eventually add up and knock out AQ. Okay, on to the next one. And it's Haider Emil versus Fernie Garcia. Now for this one, Haider Emil he's a fast starter. I think he's pretty powerful, nothing crazy, but he got some pop in his strikes. He might slow down though a bit with his fighting style the later the fight goes on. But besides that, he's nothing too impressive. His takedown defense wasn't the best in his Dana White Contender Series fight, so nothing out of the ordinary. Fernie, he has been struggling recently, 3 losses in a row, especially against grapplers. And I don't think Emil wants to grapple, so he doesn't have to fear that here. But I'm gonna have to take Haider Emil here. I think he's more active. Fernie was not so active in his fight against Journey Newson. He just wasn't doing enough. I think he could have pulled it off if he was doing more. And I think Fernie is simply he accepts too much to lose and doesn't show urgency to win in the deciding moments. So my pick is Haider Emil to win this fight. Now, Zach Pauger versus Bogdan Gusko. Okay, so Zach Pauger, he doesn't have any power. He would just try to hug you up against the fence, maybe try to take you down, but most likely just hug you up against the fence. He's an extremely boring fighter. Bogdan, he's just a round 1 a bust fighter. He's powerful, nothing crazy there. Against low level competition, he has knocked out, so I'm not too sure. I think it's either Pauger avoids getting knocked out early and wins an extremely boring decision, or he might get the late finish here if Bogdan gets very tired. He could be that type of fighter. So I'm not so confident here, but I'm picking Pauger to win by either round 3 TKO or decision. Okay, so Jeremiah Wells versus Max Griffin. Wells' cardio is a major weakness in his fights. He comes from the same gym as Pyfer, and those guys got really good grappling. Griffin is a true veteran and very hard to finish. Only been finished once in his entire career. He tends to go to decisions, and I don't think this fight is any different. It's a hard one to predict though, and I think it will be a split decision win for Griffin, maybe a TKO in the round 3 if Wells might be gassing out. He did against Carlston Harris, was winning the whole fight and then he gassed out. So maybe something like that can happen here, but if not, I think it's just a close split decision type of fight. I think there's value on a split decision type of bet, so yeah. But go light. It's not easy with these judges nowadays to know how they will score things, so yeah. Okay, on to the next one, Devin Clark versus Marcin Praggnio. Okay, first off, I'm gonna talk about Devin Clark first, because he's the much better wrestler. In his recent interview, he tells us he will wrestle more and risk less in the striking. Praggnio got very bad takedown defense. He can't defend anything in the grappling. We saw that against Petrino. We saw that against Lins, who is not even a grappler. He's a striker that just took down Praggnio whenever he wanted to. So I think Devin Clark should dominate this fight with the wrestling. And I don't think Praggnio has an answer for it. He doesn't have any submissions off his back. He's not particularly powerful. He got good movement, good kicks, but as soon as Clark gets a hold of him, then he's not going to get away from that. So my prediction is a confident pick on Clark. I'm leaning a decision win, but do not be shocked if he gets the finish here, as Praggnio can be too focused on the takedowns and leave himself open in the striking or in the clinch for some nasty elbows from Devin Clark. That could happen, but I'm leaning decision only because of his interview where he's saying he's going to be a little more cautious with his approach. Now for a women's strawweight fight, Loma Lubunmi versus Bruna Brazil. Okay, so Loma, first off, a very good Muay Thai fighter that seems to have developed her grappling game quite a lot. She will be at a huge disadvantage in reach, but that's nothing new for her. It's not even that huge, it's only, but it's 4 inches, so not too big of a difference. But she's coming off a strong submission win against Reed. I cashed big on that fight. I was betting on Luma. She was a lock of mine. So, only got good thoughts about her. She's a good fighter. Bruna Brazil, she seems like a very technically sound fighter. Offensively, she seems good with good straight punches and heavy kicks from the outside. She got a good get-up game too if needed. Defensively, she's not great when her opponent will pressure a lot and keep coming. But this fight comes down to whether or not Loma will do something that she isn't used to doing, which is to pressure and keep throwing boxing combinations. Because on the outside, I see Brazil reach and kicks having more of an impact on the judges' scorecards. But Luma might be successful grappling with Brazil, but she still makes a lot of mistakes, even though she has improved her grappling quite a lot. So my pick is the underdog, Bruna Brazil, by decision. Probably a close one, and I do not get the odds for why Loma is such a big favorite. It should be way closer than this. Okay. Timothy Kuamba versus Bolaji Uki. Okay, I haven't had too much time to tape Kuamba. He seems to keep a decent pace and will make striking and grappling. He's young, 25 years old, so he might improve a lot from fight to fight. Okay, I taped quite a lot for his fight versus Hatzovic, and he got solid power, decent striking, but his grappling doesn't seem great, and when it goes to the later rounds, he gets very tired, especially when grappling. So It's not a confident pick for me, but I'm picking Kwamba to win. If he can avoid the big punches from Oki, then I think he will have more grit in him, more cardio to be able to win the later rounds in this fight. So give me Kwamba. I think round 3 TKO, maybe decision. That's my take. Trevin Giles versus Carlos Prates. Okay, so this one is a very good one. Prates is a very solid kickboxer with heavy kicks and heavy knees. Overall, very strong kickboxer. His defense and grappling looks like it needs to be sharpened up, but I think he's improving in those fights I saw. He seemed better and better. Then we got Trevin Giles, another veteran of the game, and he should probably be looking to grapple a lot in this fight, because I don't think he will stand a chance on the feet against Carlos Prates. He's truly a nightmare, as his nickname suggests he is. And I think it's most likely that Prates gets a knockout here. So a confident pick for me is Carlos Prates by knockout. Probably in the first round, maybe in the second if Giles extends it with the grappling. Okay. Now we got Rodolfo Vieira versus Armen Petrosian. Okay, first off, Vieira, he's a high-level BJJ fighter and got a very solid jab, I think, actually. His cardio, though, and his defense is major weaknesses in his game. Then we got Petrosian, a very polished fighter. His takedown defense is solid, but it's not impossible to get him down. So either this fight is a win by submission from Vieira, or Petrosian will probably keep it on the feet and get the knockout. But I lean Armen Petrosian here. I think his straight shots and his movement and Vieira's lack of defense will be the difference maker here. And to be fair, Rodolfo Vieira didn't look too great against Cody Brundage, who isn't such a good fighter. So yeah, I'm taking the underdog, Armen Petrosian, to probably win by knockout, I would say. Michael Johnson versus Darius Flowers. Johnson is another veteran on this card. He's quite unpredictable at times. At times he can beat fighters much better than him on paper, and sometimes he doesn't show up and loses to competition that he probably shouldn't be losing to. He's a weird fighter in that way, and it's a weird fight for me to make a confident pick on. Flowers, a way younger fighter, and Johnson been knocked out recently, so yeah. I think Flowers has a lot of power, but clearly Johnson is the better boxer, better striking overall. So I'm not too sure, but I think Flowers might get a knockout in this, but no, I'm taking Michael Johnson. He's so much better, but just do not bet on this fight. I think Johnson could get knocked out at any point in this fight if he isn't careful. On to the next one. We got Brad Tavares versus Gregory Rodriguez. And another veteran, Tavares. This card seems to have a lot of veteran fighters. They got a lot of experience, but they have also taken a lot of damage throughout their careers. So in terms of this fight, though, I think Tavares is the better striker. From a technique point of view, his takedown defense is very good, and I expect him to be able to keep the fight on the feet. It's very solid, his takedown defense, and he's very cautious regarding grappling. Durability-wise, I think they're similar, although Rodriguez seems to be put out cold when he gets knocked out, where Tavares gets hurt and then put away, which to me seems like Tavares, when it comes down to it, will probably withstand more damage if they get into a firefight. But the thing is, Rodriguez is the more powerful fighter, so that makes up for him having the worst chin in this matchup, I would say. But regardless, I think it's a very close fight. Again, I don't understand the odds. I think it should be way closer to a pick'em. I think it should be a pick'em. I think Brad Tavares, it's a close fight, but he got more experience, better technique, and I think that's the difference maker here. I think he will find Robocop's chin and get himself a knockout win here. Now we got Ihor Potieria versus Robert Bruchek. I think so, at least. I'm not too sure about Robert Bruchek, if that's pronounced correctly, but let's see. Bruchek has been fighting a lot of low-level fighters from smaller organizations. He looks stiff, he got poor defensive capabilities, and looks quite chinny, especially when he got knocked out by a jab versus Kaito, a Brazilian he fought in 2021. And he also went to a decision and lost the decision unanimously. Sorry for that. Yes, and to a 6-4 fighter who's not very good, so very low level fighter. And then we got Ihor Potieria, looked much improved in his last fight and showed tremendous improvements both offensively and defensively, but mostly offensively. Could you see that his combinations and strike selection has improved a lot? I think so, against Bellator. And I think it's a smart choice for Potieria to move down to middleweight, as he was not the biggest of light heavyweights. And I think Potieria, the thing that have made him look bad is the fact that he faced a world-class striker in Ulberg, and then he faced Bellator and Nico Murano, who both got steel chins, so it's incredibly hard to knock them out, especially when you're not the biggest light heavyweight. So yeah, and I think Bruchek is big for the weight class, and I'm pretty sure he's getting puffed for steroids at some time. But I don't think the rights will save him and his chin and his poor defense. So I'm taking the faster and better boxer in Potieria to get it done. I think it's another underdog pick for me, and I think he gets the knockout. Maybe a decision, I'm not too sure, but I'm heavily leaning the knockout. I think this card overall has a lot of potential underdogs, also created from the fact that there is a lot of low-level fights, where some people might put too much trust into these low-level fighters, and then the line seems out of place to me, I think. Yeah. Okay. Then we got the co-main event, Dan Ige versus Andre Fili. When I talk with my buddies on this one, a lot of them are quite confident in Ige to get it done. I think he should win this type of fight also. I think Fili is most likely not a strong enough wrestler to win against Ige. He's not so physically strong as some of the people that has like outmatched Dan Ige in the grappling, like Korean Zombie, Mos Eisley, those type of fighters. And if it's a standing fight, I have to favor Ige. He got much more power, and I don't think Andre Fili got the best chin. So I think it's a spot where Dan Ige can get another knockout win. Probably in a similar fashion as his win against, I think it was Johnson. So yeah. Oh, Damon Jackson was it? Yeah. So I'm taking the favorite, Dan Ige, by, let's say, round 2 knockout. Maybe round 1. Let's see. Jack Hermannson versus Pyfer. Joe Pyfer. The main event of this fight card. And again, we got another veteran of the game, another guy who's over 35 years old on this card, and he's also the underdog. Hermannson, yeah, he's a good wrestler, good grappler overall with the BJJ. He got very good high volume kickboxing, and yeah, he's a very good fighter. Then we got Joe Pyfer. There are a lot of about on the internet right now that he beat Ngannou punch record for the most powerful punch in the world, which is insane if it's true since he's a middleweight. I think Pyfer is very selective with his strikes, and I was very impressed watching tape on him, seeing how calculated and precise he was in everything he did, both in the striking and the grappling. I think with Hermannson getting up in age and Pyfer having the precise and calculated striking with massive power too, it is with high confidence that I say I think he gets a knockout win in this fight in round 1 or 2. So yeah. And for my most confident picks, I'm taking Daniel Marcus, Carlos Prates, Devin Clark, Joe Pyfer, and for my underdogs, Bruno Brazil, Armen Petrosian, Brad Tavares, and Ihor Potieria. Thank you guys for your time, and I would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing.